Happy Sunday, everyone! Ben's here, and welcome to episode 5 of the Boken Hunters Stay at Home series. Okay, so let me give you some good news first. The government has finally lifted the state of emergency here in Japan, but of course, the battle against the COVID-19 is far from over, so we have to continue to be vigilant and follow all the precautionary measures in order to stop, the spread of the virus. So let me give a big shout out to all the frontliners and the health workers who are doing their very best for us, for the world. Thank you very, very much, for everything that you do. Saludo po ako sa inyong lahat. So, let's start the Q&A portion. And the first question that I'm going to answer is it safe to visit Japan? Well, I believe that Japan is still one of, the safest countries in the world, especially in terms of crime. We get a lot of earthquakes. Check. We have several volcanoes. Check. And of course, we have typhoon seasons too, like any other countries, right? So as far as earthquakes go, well, only a few regions in Japan actually are very prone to them. Furthermore, most of them are not very strong earthquakes. So I remember, in my first year here in Japan, when I was still a researcher, I almost, experienced slight shakes every day, in the office. So it made me feel ready and confident that, when it happens, I know what to do. So I'm not afraid of earthquakes anymore. So if you're concerned about the radiation, like what happened in Fukushima 9 years ago, that was 2011, you can always check the radiation maps. I have to say it's not bad at all, even in Tokyo and much less in places farther away from Fukushima. Right? So I read a lot of articles about it, and there's been, constant monitoring of the area by different local and international organizations. So they monitor the radioactive elements in the air, in the ocean or the waters, the soil and the sand, and of course the food safety in the area. So if you are still, extremely worried about the radiation, then traveling to regions that are far away from the affected areas would be a very good alternative. So I suggest that you go to Okinawa, Shikoku, Kyushu, Osaka, Hyogo, Nara, or Kyoto. Okay? So in terms of security, I heard from some of my friends in Tokyo that security in Narita has always been higher than any other Japanese airports. But of course, unless you are an illegal alien, have a fake passport, or carrying drugs or weapons, then there isn't really anything you should be worried about. So to my knowledge, the only foreigner who have been arrested by the police are mainly law-breaking ones. Not to single out foreigners, but just like Japanese people too. You break the law, then you get arrested. But if you are a law-abiding person, then again, there isn't really anything you should worry about from the police, right? So about Yakuza, because I get a lot of questions about them, believe me, they will not mess with you unless you mess with them. Okay? So by the way, I also have some female friends, both Japanese and foreign, who work, late at night and walk the streets alone at night. So yeah, they're just fine without any other problems whatsoever. So I have to say that security here in Japan is really good. So let's move on to question number 2. Okay, and the question is how to plan for your trip to Japan. Anyway, I hope that I'm already helping you with my vlog. I mean, I have already answered several questions that most foreigners ask when they want to visit this country in the previous episodes of the Boken Hunters Stay at Home series. So I advise you to watch from episode 1, and I promise that you will learn a lot about this country, Japan. Okay? So however, keep in mind that it's your trip and only you know what you're interested in the most and what kind of journey you would like to have. I can give you some tips though, of course. Some people love exploring shrines and temples, including me. Others love Japanese history. and they would go for all the wonderful and gorgeous castles in the country. And there are people who want to, discover culture or exploring food. So it's really up to you. Big cities like Tokyo, Fukuoka, Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, Kyushu are also of a big interest for many. You can go shopping and experience the big city life of Japan. There are also a lot of different ways to save money. Yeah, Japan offers a lot of discounted shops and of course railway passes that you may not know about. So make sure to search or contact Google Sensei. And if it's your first time in Japan, it's probably better to stick to the popular foreign tourist spots such as Tokyo, Kyoto, or Osaka or Hiroshima, right? So for those who have visited Japan many times, it can be tough to choose where to go next, especially if you've seen pretty much everything that the travel guide recommended. Well, I love exploring things away from the beaten path. So yeah, I'm sure that you haven't heard of these places before, I hope. So did you know about Okunoshima or the Rabbit Island? Actually, the first video of the Boken Hunters was shot there. We have the Tashirojima or the Cat Island. We have Mount Osore. They call it actually the gateway to hell. We have the Gunkanjima or the Ghost Island, or sometimes they call it the Battleship Island in Nagasaki. We have the Wisteria Tunnel in Kita, Kyushu. It's a botanical garden. We have the Yokai Street in Kyoto that has many different statues of monsters, lining it. And yeah, Japan also has a lot of interesting, or should I say unusual, festivals like the Kanamara Festival, or aka the
Penis Festival.
Okay, so in Kawasaki, so this happens in spring. We have the Naki Sumo Matsuri, or the Baby Crying Festival. Yeah, that's very unusual. That's in Sensoji Temple in Tokyo. They have the Belly Button Festival, or the Hokkai Heso Matsuri in Hokkaido. They have the Apotai Matsuri, or the Cursing Festival. Isn't that interesting? In Mount Atago in Ibaraki. So what, swearing in public is generally considered impolite and not allowed in most cultures around the world. But on the third day of December in Mount Ago, people are encouraged to cuss. So yeah, it's really unusual, right? So we also have the Laughing Festival, or they call it the Warai Matsuri in Wakayama, and many, many more. So Japan offers a lot of interesting, exciting, and yeah, unusual events. So yeah, it's very good to witness them. So let's have question number 3, and the question is, should I purchase the Japan Rail Pass, or we call it JR Pass in short? Okay, so what is that? It's actually a ticket that provides, unlimited travel on all Japan Rail national trains for a certain period. Passes are available for 7, 14, and 21 consecutive days, and you can choose between a standard and the green or the first class pass. So you have to choose, between the two, which one is okay for you, okay? So JR passes are only available for foreigners, of course, on a tourist visa, and you can buy it online, which is very convenient, and get it delivered to your home address or even to your first Japan hotel or place to stay in Japan. So it's also available and can be purchased, at the airports, upon your arrival, and from major JR train stations, okay? So to answer this question, which is really difficult, I have to say, that JR Pass, when used correctly, it can be a great money saver, but of course not for everyone, right? So please use the hyperdia.com or the Google Maps to check the train times and the prices to calculate if the pass is really worth it, okay? So remember, it depends on your route and your itinerary. So for example, if you'll be traveling at a fast pace, to lots of places, especially on the trains, then most likely a rail pass will save you money, right? Also, don't forget, okay, listen to me. Don't forget that you cannot use Nozomi or Mizuho and other bullet trains or Shinkansens with the rail pass, okay? And also, private railways and non-JR buses are not included in the pass. So you gotta be careful. My advice is to ask, okay? Ask the train staff. Okay, so if you decide not to use the JR Pass, for example, then you might want to consider other discounted tickets, which is everywhere. So it's a great way to travel cheap using mostly local trains. So we're down to our last question for this episode, and the question is, how much money does a trip to Japan cost? Another difficult question. Why? Because it depends on various things, right? How long are you going to stay in Japan? Where are you staying? Are you going to stay in a hotel, Airbnb, a capsule hotel, or are you going to backpack, right? I don't know about that. What means of transportation are you going to use? What are you going to eat? What kind of food? And your activities. Are you going to go shopping all the time? So yeah, all this will greatly influence the amount of money you have to spend, of course, and it all depends on you in the end. Well, some seasons are cheaper, of course, but this could only, mean that, there are less festivals or activities during the off-season. On the other hand, peak season offers more fun and interesting activities or events, right? So for a place to stay, I can say that a single room in a standard business hotel is usually around 4,000 to 5,000 yen per night. So you can get meals for around 400 to 700 yen. Yeah, remember the obento that I was saying in my previous episode, right? So entrance admissions are usually around 300 to 1,000 yen, for example, for castles, shrines, and temples, right? Transportation will usually differ, so you better check in order to know how much to bring on your trip. So this is only a rough estimate, but I think that you will need 10,000 yen per day for your trip. Okay? So yay! We're done with answering all these questions. So before we end the video, guys, I would just like to make a shout out for Mr. Genesis Romano and of course his son who just celebrated his birthday. His name is Gabe. And also a big shout out to the Castro family, Kuya Jomar, Ate Liza, and the Castro kids. We have Jana, Jocelyn, we have Joella, and we have Jolise. Right, so they have their own YouTube channel. So guys, if you have the time, please check it out. They call it the Castro Kids. So please support them. So yeah, I guess that's all for today. Again, guys, thank you very much for your support. And please continue supporting our channel, The Boken Hunters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Okay? Goodbye, and God bless us all. See ya.